Jauh-jauh. Oh, dah. Ya, tunggu dulu kan. Ada orang pun tak ramai ni. Masuk belum ni. Tunggu dah. Ya, dah masuk dah. Okay, nak kena tunggu orang je ni. Apalah. Dulu je dulu.
Faiz, mula dulu lah Faiz.
Tak. Boleh. Tunggu dulu. Tunggu dulu.
Music.
Kau apa? Ni model ni. Satu. Jap. Okay. Rasanya boleh start dah kot sebab kita dah lama sangat ni. Boleh tak? Boleh Okay. Akhtari? Okay.
Okay. Dah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera Salah Ibrahim nombor 1. Apa khabar penonton kita pada hari ini? Harap semua sihat dan kekal bersemangat ya. Saya Akhtari Sufiyyah binti Muhammad Tarmizi bersama dengan rakan seperjuangan saya, Faiz Hafiq yang merupakan moderator pada hari ini. Program Ayo Batok hari ini kita akan bincangkan topik rojak-rojak studies, scholarship dan college life yang akan dibawa khas oleh tetamu kita pada hari ini, iaitu saudara CHUA SHANG. Saudara CHUA SHANG atau lebih mesra dipanggil CHUA, berumur 19 tahun dan merupakan bekas pelajar SMK Ibrahim sejak tahun 2015 hingga tahun 2019. Saudara CHUA merupakan salah seorang pelajar cemerlang yang memperoleh 10A+ SPM pada tahun 2019. saudara Chua juga pernah menerima My Risk Innovation Icon Silver Award dan tokoh terbaik co-curriculum SMK Ibrahim pada tahun 2019. Beliau juga merupakan ketua pengawas bagi tahun 2019. Kini, saudara Chua melanjutkan pelajaran di Kolej Yayasan UEM. Apa khabar saudara Chua? Sihat tak?
Ya, sehat.
Okey. Warga penonton semua mesti tertanya-tanya bagaimana pengalaman atau perjalanan saudara Chua semasa di peringkat bangku sekolah lagi. Tanpa melengahkan masa, saya menjemput saudara Chua bagi mengupas topik ini dengan lebih berkesan. Dipersilakan saudara.
Sorry, the first question is like how to balance social life and study? Is that okay? So sorry, my connection like disconnected a little bit. Okay, so like when it comes to balancing social life and study, to be honest, at this point because of COVID, our social life basically doesn't exist. Like we cannot go out, cannot have outings with friends. But back to the days when I was still in SMK Ibrahim, when I was still in my secondary school, I have to admit that my social life isn't very interesting either. But I did like go out with my friends, hang out with my friends. I did have the time to do what I enjoy. So when it comes to balancing your social life and your study, I think the very important thing is that you have to have a plan. Perancangan. I think plan is very important. In everything you do, if you have a plan, you have already succeeded on your the first step. You have already succeeded because you have planned out everything, and then you have a rough idea of what you're going to do. So looking at the plan, for example, a study plan, you know this week you have to finish studying what chapters. Next week you have to revise on what chapters. You know your progress, you know your schedule. So once you find out that you are behind your schedule or you're behind your planning, then just reduce your social life. Not avoid, but try to reduce it. Try to focus more on the things that you're supposed to do. And if you are following the plan very well or you are well ahead of the plan, then yeah, by all means, go and do what you love. So I think, yeah, study plan is really important. And the second suggestion or advice I would give is to have an importance matrix. An importance matrix is like there are 4 squares. It consists of 4 squares. On the top left, it's things that are urgent and important. On the top right, it's things that are urgent but not important. Bottom left, it's things that are important but not urgent, and bottom right is things that are not urgent and not important. So do take some time, do take some initiative to fill out those boxes, to arrange your tasks according to these criteria, and you will know which one is your priority. Always arrange your priorities, always set your priorities. So when it comes to balancing your social life and study, I think priorities are very important. So study plan, importance matrix. Yeah.
Okay. Menarik. Oh, lagi satu, jangan lupa viewers kalau rasa macam nak catat ke, nak apa ke, sediakanlah bahan-bahan buku nota ke apa ke. Catatlah sambil-sambil kita dengar kan. Okay, so kita bergerak ke soalan kedua, second question. So Chua, dalam pengalaman Chua lah kan, sepanjang belajar dan apa semua, macam mana Chua buat sesuatu pelajaran tu, belajar kat sekolah ke, belajar kat rumah ke, bagi efektif dan seronok?
Effective dan seronok. When it comes to study, I think a lot of us have this so-called confirmation bias, whereby you believe that studying is a boring process. Thereby, you're forcing your brain to believe it's a boring process. That's why you cannot find the process interesting. Because in the first place, you have already believed that it's boring. So try to remove this confirmation bias, then we'll start discussing ways to make it more interesting. So ada 2 part kan, ada 2 bahagian kan. Bahagian 1 efektif, bahagian 2 seronok kan. Okay, so I will talk about how to make it more interesting first, how to make it seronok first. So I think when it comes to saying which subject is the most boring, I think semua setuju, kebanyakan setuju yang most boring subject is sejarah, right? Because sejarah you have to memorize a lot of facts, kena ingat semua fakta-fakta, kesan-kesan semua tu kan, sangat bosan. So I think one of the ways that you can make this interesting is to understand the story, understand why you have to study this subject, and understand the flow of the story. For example, in sejarah, from 4, from 5, you study nationalism and also Renaissance, tamadun. So instead of trying to memorize the characteristics and the reasons why we have all these tamadun, try to understand the story, how they built the tamadun from scratch, what they need, what they did when they built the tamadun. Try to understand story. Think of it as a story instead of thinking it as a textbook. Think of it as an interesting story, and try to visualize all those pictures in your head. So I would highly recommend you to go and search for the videos or maybe pictures that can help you visualize the story. Once you have the visualization and the picture in your head, it's easier for you to memorize the facts. That's what I did for sejarah. I always try to visualize things because I think visualization is very effective and very interesting as well. Lagi, untuk subjek yang inclining towards sciences macam mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, I think one of the ways to make it interesting is to understand the concept. Like in physics, for example, in physics, there are a lot of formulas. Ada banyak formula kan? So many of us will find troubles in memorizing those formulas because we think like, semua symbols, semua alphabets, very hard to memorize, right? So I think what you can do is to, instead of trying to memorize the formula, try to understand the formula. Know how to derive the formula. Know why this formula happens as it should. There's a reason behind the formula. So try to find the reason and try to understand the reason behind the formula. I think it will make everything much more interesting. And also, you can also try to visualize everything. For example, in physics, you have, let's say I throw a ball and the ball hits the wall and the ball rebounces. Try to picture all of that in your head. In chemistry, we have ions. Ions can move from one place to another. What happens when these ions move from one place to another? Whereas in biology, we have many processes, contohnya respirasi. What happens to your lung when you breathe? What happens to your diaphragm? So all these pictures, when you are visualizing all these subjects in your head, it makes it easier and more interesting to memorize, to understand. Yeah, that's the first part, which is to make your subject more interesting. And the second part is how to make this subject, how to make your learning process more effective. I think before you start carrying out like all those study methods, I think the first thing you should do is to identify which type of learner you are. There are 7 types of learner out there. Ada verbal learner, logical learner, visual learner, and banyak lagi. So you have to find out which type of learner you are. And after you find out which type of learner you are, you can start to find ways that entertain you during the learning process. Contohnya, there's one friend of mine, she got 12 A+ in SPM, and she told me that when masa dia study sejarah, she will use a lot of highlighters when reading the text. She will use all those highlighters to highlight every single line, every single sentences, using different colors of highlighters. So when she refer back, when she look through the text again, all she sees is colors. So it makes it very interesting and it attracts her to study as well. That method works for her, but it doesn't work for me. So sebenarnya tak ada cara yang sesuai untuk semua orang. So you have to find your own way according to your learning style. I think that's very important. And there are also different study methods out there: active recall, spaced repetition, environmental design. You can always do your research on that and find a method that is most suitable for you. Yep.
Okay. Untuk viewers, kalau ada apa-apa soalan boleh type dekat live chat, nanti admin akan pilih. Kita akan berlangsung pada soalan yang seterusnya. CHUA, ada satu kajian belajar dia ada dua cara. Satu study hard, satu study smart. Antara study hard dengan study smart tu, yang mana yang orang kata lebih berkesan? Study hard atau study smart?
Well, saya bukan a professional researcher, so I couldn't really tell you the statistic, but I will speak from my personal experience. I think if you can do both, then perfect. Sangat bagus. Work hard and work smart. But if you have to choose one, I would choose study smart over study hard. Work smart over work hard. Because I feel like work smart saves you a lot of time. Macam different subjects kan. Actually, different subjects, you have different study methods. Macam untuk bahasa Melayu, how to write a good piece of karangan. Macam mana nak tulis satu karangan yang cukup bagus, yang akan dapat 90 markah ke atas. And for physics, how do you score those points? How do you write those points in a very brief sentences and then you manage to get it right? So there are different methods. So back to your question, working smart is to find the patterns, identify the patterns and follow those patterns. Study according to those patterns. Whereas work hard, you're just going through the same thing all over again and it doesn't really stick to your brain. So saya rasa works hard tu sebenarnya tak berapa efektif, tetapi kalau you combine work smart dengan work hard, I think it's perfectly fine. It's so good. I'm speaking from my personal experience lah. There's a disclaimer here.
Nah tu. Okay, so sekarang ni lepas dah dapat tahu semua tu, bila kita nak belajar, kita belajar apa semua kan, sambil-sambil semasa kita belajar, sambil-sambil semasa kita cuba untuk buat kerja tu, buat kerja ni, buat assignment dan sebagainya kan. Macam mana CHUA kekalkan motivasi, keep the motivation up all the time. Maksudnya bukan all the time lah kan. Bila masa kita nak buat tu kita rasa ada motivasi tu, ada motivation tu. Macam mana CHUA buat?
The truth is, sebenarnya tak ada orang yang boleh, how to say, motivated 24/7. No one is ever motivated all the time. Because like sometimes in our life we feel, we will like, I call it down points. At certain points in your life, you certainly feel down and you feel like unmotivated. So one of the way is to, I think it's better for me to share a personal story. From my personal experience, back to when I was in tingkatan 5, masa saya sedang prepare untuk SPM, I was also the head prefect and I took part in some extracurricular activities. So there were many things happening at the same time. So it's really stressful. And during that time, I think everyone is stressed, but especially for me, I think I felt very stressed. And after my trials, after I got my trial results, saya berasa tak berapa puas hati because it isn't up to my bar, it isn't up to my expectation. So looking at my other friends, ada yang dapat 8A+, ada yang dapat 9A+, ada yang dapat straight A+. So saya rasa, I keep telling myself that I'm not going to make it. It's already August and SPM is happening in October. There are only 2 months left and we're not going to make it. So eventually, after I have wasted a lot of time, I tell myself that if I keep telling myself that I'm not going to make it, then I'm just going to waste the rest of the time that is available. Contohnya, you have studied for how many years, including a primary school, 6 years, from 5 years, you have studied for 11 years, 11 tahun, and you're going to let these 2 months destroy all the hard work that you have put in? Certainly not, right? Because it's not worth it. So eventually I told myself that, you know what, put all these negative feelings aside, throw away all these negative feelings, keep them in a drawer. And if you want to cry, if you want to break down, do it after your SPM. Do it after you finish your SPM. Then you have a lot of time to cry in your bedroom. So I think shifting your attention is really important when it comes to staying motivated, because if you keep stressing yourself too much, it will only drain your energy and waste your time. So know what you're supposed to do at that moment is really important. Yeah, I think that's one of the way. And also, satu advice yang sangat sincere from me, a very sincere advice from me, is that don't try not to compare yourself with the others. Sebab comparison ni, making comparisons is healthy until you start hurting yourself, whether it's mentally or physically. And because the reason why you should not compare yourself with the others is because you come from different backgrounds, and you were born in different families, you grow up in like an entirely different environment, and you don't share the same journeys. So don't ever compare yourself, because there's no ground for you to compare yourself, and making comparisons is unfair to you as well. So focus on yourself and know what you're supposed to do at that moment to reach your goals. It's really important, because at the end of the day, you are you, right? You're the best version of yourself. So avoid making comparisons. Yeah, I think to stay motivated.
Dengar tu, jangan compare diri ya, semua ada kelebihan masing-masing.
Yep.
Okey. Okey, untuk soalan seterusnya, boleh tak CHUA ceritakan sedikit tentang macam mana CHUA masuk ke dalam kolej Yayasan UEM?
Sebelum saya ambil SPM, sebelum saya ambil result, I didn't know this college exists. I think most of you here do not know about this college, but eventually I find out that I didn't register for the college. I applied for scholarship, so my sponsor body decided to send me here, so I followed them. And College Yayasan UEM is like, it's a private school, and this school basically prepares you to study overseas. And because this college only offers A levels, so I think 95% of students here eventually, after they finish their A levels, they will study overseas. So saya rasa college ni, I love the college. I love this college. I think the environment, the people here is really amazing. So yeah, you can check it out if you want to come. Yeah, there are some Ibrahimians here as well.
Okay, so macam itulah kan, kadang-kadang bila kita dah habis SPM, dah semua kan, kita nak masuk, selalu kita macam fokus kat universiti, kat college-college yang kita selalu dengar sahaja, yang orang dengar, yang orang recommend, tapi yang lain semua kita tak nampak bila ada peluang kat college ataupun universiti tu kan. So berdasarkan apa yang kami dapat tahu lah kan, CHUA ambil course data science kan?
Yep.
Okay, so apa yang CHUA dapat katakan pasal data science? Boleh terangkan sikit apa-apa?
Data science, it's actually a very new subject. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this term is coiled back to 2014, I think. And data science is basically like kombinasi antara computer science dengan mathematics. So I'll tell you what the data scientists do, so you can have a better idea of what data science is. Basically, a data scientist, they have to collect data and analyze data and present and visualize data. Collect data when masa data scientists analyze data tu, mereka guna programming languages such as Python, R, C++. So they have to use these programming languages to analyze and interpret those data. And from their analysis, they have to present the conclusion and the result they got from the analysis and from the interpretation. And they have to visualize all those data. For example, guna graph, guna table, or guna any visualizing tools, any visualizing languages. So yeah, the data science is basically statistics and computing, a lot of statistics and computing.
Jadi lepas ni CHUA akan lanjutkan pelajaran di mana-mana tak?
Sekarang saya tengah study A-levels, saya tengah ambil A-levels, and if everything goes well, hopefully next year August atau September saya akan pergi ke UK. If everything goes well.
Jauh ke? Belajar elok-elok, dapat pergi jauh-jauh. Macam apa ni, Chua cakap lagi yang data science. Even Python pun kami pun yang dah apa ni, kelas-kelas ASK pun dah ada belajar Python, dah ada belajar script programming semua tu kan. Cara kecil lah kan. So kira macam siapa yang
I think it's very good, like if you start learning all these programming languages now, because it will gain you a lot of advantage when you're in university.
Yep, very true. So siapa yang rasa macam yang kelas ASK ke kan, yang belajar computer programming, bolehlah kau dapatkan rujukan daripada saudara Chua kita hari ni kan, so nak masuk data science. Okay, teruskan Akhtari, ambil.
Okay, berdasarkan yang CHUA dah kongsikan tadi, CHUA cakap CHUA dapat scholarship kan?
Yes.
Boleh tak CHUA terangkan sikit tentang importance of scholarship ni, sebab ramai sebenarnya tak tahu kenapa scholarship ni penting.
I think scholarships are only important if you don't have the financial capability to study. Like kalau you ada if you have the financial ability to afford your tuition fees, then you don't have to apply for a scholarship. So for people like me, we don't have the financial capability to, further our studies, especially at overseas university. I think scholarship offers us the opportunities to do so. Lagipun scholarship, they offer allowance kan, money allowance, so you don't really have to worry about your living costs because they're basically covered. Yeah. So yeah, a scholarship definitely helps when you don't have the financial capability, and if you have the financial capability, then you don't have to apply for it. Yeah.
Kita dah tahu apa nama kelebihan tu. Kalau Chua boleh terangkanlah sikit macam mana kita nak apply kan?
Apply for scholarships?
Yes.
Apply for scholarship. Well, there are actually like when there is when the when Form 5 students, they receive their SPM results, and after that there will be a lot of seminars, there will be a lot of talks to teach you how to apply for scholarship. So I'm not going to delve very deep on that topic because I believe when the dates are approaching, there will be many seminars and many talks out there. So for me personally, I did apply for a few scholarships, and I was really fortunate very lucky enough to get a scholarship. And the application process is actually different for every single scholarship. Ada banyak scholarship, contohnya yang daripada Tenaga Nasional Berhad, we call it YTN, Yayasan Tenaga Nasional, and also there's scholarship from Petronas, from Shell, Sangdabi, Khazanah, Yayasan Khazanah, and also Yayasan Sabah. There are a lot of scholarships out there that are offered by private sectors, and JPA also. JPA is a government scholarship, beasiswa kerajaan. So I applied for most of them, and during the application process, you know that you have to go for interviews. You have to do interviews. Every single scholarship application will have interviews. So during the interviews, they will ask you all sorts of questions. Macam they will ask you how do you manage your time? What is your leadership style? How do you overcome conflicts when you're a team leader? How do you fix your weaknesses? All those stuff that are related to you yourself. Sebab mereka nak understand, mereka nak faham apa how to say, they want to understand who you are as a person, and they want to look at what your personality is, what your characteristic is, what your advantage is. They want to know who you are. So interviews are like memang ada untuk semua scholarship application process. So my advice to those juniors who are looking forward to applying scholarships is to start practicing doing interviews now, today, at this moment. Interviews are really important. Try to practice your speaking skills, bahasa Melayu or English. Try to sharpen up your communication skills. I think that's very important.
Okay, jadinya kalau nak apply scholarship ni kita kena ada skill, communication skill, speaking skills, betul lah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Kalau dah tahu importance dia, cara nak apply dia, dari pendapat CHUA sendiri, apa pro and cons scholarship tu sendiri? Boleh kongsikan?
Pros and cons scholarships. Well, everything has flipped sides, including scholarships. And I'm going to be very honest with you here. Secara sangat jujur, the downsides of having a scholarship is, I'm going to talk about the pros of having a scholarship first. I don't want to be so negative. Okay, so I think the advantage of having a scholarship is that I've mentioned earlier, you don't have to worry about your tuition fees. You don't have to worry about having a school that hutang. You don't have to worry about your allowances because you will receive monthly allowances. And yeah, basically they will provide you the financial support that you need. Bantuan economy yang kamu perlukan. So I think that's one of the pros of having a scholarship, of becoming a scholar. And now comes the dark side of having a scholarship is that saya rasa having a scholarship, it really adds the pressure to you. You akan rasa tertekan because there are certain results, there are certain accomplishments that you have to achieve. There are certain results that you have to achieve. For example, A-levels, you have to get at least 3 A's, AAAs, and you have to maintain your performance. And if you fail one time, they will send you a warning letter. And if you fail twice, sorry, your scholarship will be terminated. So yeah, I think the stress, the pressure is real. And another cons of having a scholarship is that most of the scholarships offered out there, you have to sign a contract with your sponsor body. And once you sign the contract with your sponsor body, kamu akan berada dalam bond. 7 tahun, 5 tahun, 8 tahun, tak tetap. You have to ask your sponsor body. So after you have graduated from your university, after you have obtained your degrees, your bachelor's degree, you have to work for them for 7 years, for 8 years, even for 10 years. So I think that's quite not sad, but you're restricted. So not necessarily a bad thing because you automatically have jobs after you graduated from university, right? But yeah, sometimes we find sometimes a lot of people, they prefer to be free and not restricted by any sorts of context. So I think that's one of the cons of becoming a scholar. Yeah. But take my words like with a pinch of salt. Don't take it seriously. If you want to apply for scholarships, by all means go for it. Yeah.
So, rasanya setakat ni soalan daripada kami dah habis lah kan?
Wow, cepatnya. I think is there any question from like the audiences? Kalau ada question boleh tanya aja.
Okay, kita akan move pada Q&A question.
Ya, viewers kalau nak tanya apa-apa, ada dah tu.
Okay, first question. Viewers tanya, ada tak apa-apa tips untuk study last minute? Contohnya seminggu atau sehari dua before exam tu berlangsung.
Okay, when it comes to last minute study, I have to be very jujur with you. Back to when I was in secondary school, I did a lot of last minute studies. But yeah, last minute study is not good for your information, so try not to do that. But if you're forced to do last minute study, and if you enjoy last minute study, then I think one of the tips, okay, let's say what last minute study works for me, like during secondary school. I think it's because I understand the syllabus already. It's just that I haven't started memorizing the syllabus. Contohnya physics. I understand what those formulas mean. I understand the concepts. In chemistry, I understand how those ions work, how those like ionization process works. And in biology, I know like all those processes, what happened when you drink, what happened when you breathe, for example. So saya dah faham semua konsep ni. So I think that allows me to do last minute study. Plus, I know where my notes are. I know what's coming up in the exam and what I have to study. So yeah, last minute study works when you have understood the concepts very well and you know what to study. Yeah, that's very important, because if you absolutely have no idea what's going on, then don't tell me that you're going to use one day to study months and months of knowledge, right? It's not possible. So if you're really forced to do last minute study, then I suggest you to listen very attentively during your tuition, during your classes. Make sure that you understand every single thing. And then if you don't have time, then yeah, you can study last minute.
Kadang-kadang study last minute, ikut orang lah kan. Masa tu juga penting lah kan.
Yeah, lagipun, I want to add one thing. Last minute, there's a very big like downsides of last minute study is that it's very easy for you to get panic. Contohnya, sehari sebelum peperiksaan sejarah, you look at all those textbooks you have to go through. You look at all those fakta you have to memorize. It's so scary. So try to avoid last minute study, because once you get panicked, you couldn't really do anything. Yeah. So study every day, kids.
Okay, tadi tak perasan lah sama ada dapat ketaan daripada CHUA pasal data science kan. Apa yang menyebabkan CHUA ambil data science, pilih data science masa masuk college?
I think as I've mentioned earlier, data science is very new. So the reason why I choose data science is because I like maths. I really love maths. I don't really enjoy memorizing things. That's why I say I don't really like sejarah. Saya memang suka mathematics, saya memang suka physics, all those stuff, you know, to deal with numbers. Being interested in that subject and being good is two different things. So you study what you're interested in, not don't think mainly on what you're good at. Also prioritize which subject that you are interested in. So I chose data science because I really love mathematics and I really love analyzing things. I think I'm quite analytical. I don't know if it's a good thing, but I like to analyze things and I love to present my ideas. So I think data science is like quite a suitable subject for me. So eventually I chose data science as the degree that I want to take. Yeah.
So CHUA kan sekarang belajar data science kan? Sebelum ataupun masa SPM lah kan? Apa sebenarnya course yang CHUA sebenarnya nak ambil selain daripada data science?
I think there's a fun, like very fun facts about this. Not fun facts, but very funny things. Back to when I decided I want to do data science, I actually wanted to study film. I want to study movies. Saya nak belajar tentang movies, films, because I was really interested in, I am still very interested in films and movies. But then I think that I'm not very suitable to study this subject. So I switched to architecture because I really love arts. Saya sangat suka seni. And architecture is like the combination of arts and sciences, right? Because you have to use a lot of mathematics, you apply a lot of physics when you're doing architecture. So I chose architecture. But eventually, when applying for scholarships, I know that there's this subject called data science, and I feel that data science is more suitable for me. And data science is more mathematics focused than architecture, and it requires computing, and I'm quite interested in programming as well. So eventually I choose data science. It really depends on you how you would choose your subject. It's a different story for everyone.
Okay, sekejap. Rasanya sebelum kita teruskan macam nak bagi, kalau CHUA lepas ni CHUA nak bagi nasihat ke kat junior kan, ada satu benda ni, soalan ni kan. Ada tak siapa-siapa yang inspire CHUA ke, yang CHUA jadikan role model ke dalam sepanjang CHUA belajar apa semua? Ada tak?
Role models. Actually, there are a lot of role models out there, but if to be honest, I don't have a specific role model because I feel like I look up to a lot of people out there. There are like banyak sangat amazing people out there. So there's never a specific role model that I follow because I think it's better for me to keep my horizon wide so that I can look at different person and learn different things from each of them. So you don't have to have a role model. Just learn from good things, from amazing people, from excellent people that are doing well in their lives. Just learn from them.
Nak teruskan lagi ke? Nak ambil lagi tadi
Actually,
nak
I saw quite a number of questions here.
Okay.
Yes.
Seterusnya ada ni ada seorang tanya, I used to study with my best friend but now we are not in the same school anymore. I feel discouraged to study and I feel like I didn't get any of what I am learning. What should I do? Apa nasihat CHUA untuk belajar ni? Sebab dia kata dia tak ada semangat untuk belajar bila kawan dia dah tak ada apa semua tu.
Okay, so let me summarize your question. You said that you used to study with your friend, but after your friend like left the school, you became unmotivated, right? That's the question, right? So see, here's the problem. If this situation happens, like in my personal opinion I think that your center of attention isn't on your studies, rather it's on your friends, because after your friends left the school, you become unmotivated because I think your friend is your source of motivation, and that's actually quite dangerous, I would say, because if your source of motivation comes from such an unstable element, then you would very easily be unmotivated or demotivated. So try to know yourself better. Try to build your source of motivation or inspiration on something else. Try to, for example, think of your dreams. What are your dreams? What you actually want to accomplish in life? Like, I want to get into this university. I want to get into, let's say, University Malaya. I want to get into UM, and I have to study very well. So build your source of motivation on things that are stable. For example, your dreams, not on something that is very unstable, like your friends. So yeah, I think shifting your attention, shifting your point of attention is really important. So my advice is to, yeah, find your interests, find your dreams, talk to yourself, know yourself better, and then build your source of motivation there.
Faiz, soalan seterusnya Faiz.
Sekejap. Okay lepas dah dapat tahu tadi pasal data science, tiga orang tanya, ada orang tanya ni, what is your dream job and why is it so? Kat mana yang data science tu akan membawa Abancor nanti, masa depan nanti?
My dream job is to enjoy life and not do anything. No lah. I think everyone thinks this, like, everyone has their different like dreams, right? My dream job, as you call it, I think, yeah, very obvious, it would be data scientist, because like I've said earlier, I really enjoy the job scope of a data scientist. I really enjoy analyzing things and presenting ideas. I really enjoy that. So yeah, I think data scientist for now is my dream job.
Macam tu lah kan. Kena tu. Lagi Ana, tadi
Tu ada lagi soalan tu?
lah.
Teruskan ke? Nak bagi terus ke tu?
Cho still boleh jawabkan soalan-soalan.
Ya, sure.
Okay, teruskan.
Teruskan. Okay, bila kita dah study, dah macam penat apa semua kan, macam mana CHUA reward diri sendiri bila dah capek.
I love food. So I love to makan. So I think, yeah, I will use my money to buy food. Like in back to when I was in SMK Ibrahim, there are a lot of food, right? In cafeteria and also koperasi. So each time let's say I got good results, or I did something good, or I like win some awards in some extracurricular activities, I will always like spend more money on food that to makan, to eat better, you know. That is kind of my source of motivation, to be honest. Food. And I believe food is a very stable source of motivation, right?
Very. Like kalau makanan pun, kalau nak kata macam bukan reward diri sajalah kan, kadang-kadang orang kata comfort food lah kan, kita lapar makan je lah.
True. Comfort food, yeah.
Comfort food. Ada lagi tak? Ada lagi tak?
Rasanya tu last question kot. Okay, kita nak beralih pada tips tak Faiz? Ke Faiz nak mula dulu?
Rasanya boleh kot kalau Chua ada apa-apa tips nak bagi untuk junior meeting lah kan?
My tips, basically, I just graduated from school like 2 years ago, so I don't think I'm the best person to ask advices, but personally I do have some suggestions. For those of you who are aiming for a scholarship, do focus on mainly your academics and your extracurricular activities. Extracurricular activities are really important when it comes to applying scholarships, because when you're applying scholarship, everyone has the same result. semua orang. Ada 8 A+, ada 7 A+, ada 9 A+, ada straight A+. So in order for you to differentiate yourself from the others, in order to make yourself outstanding, the only way is through showing your capabilities when you're doing extracurricular activities. For example, when you're doing extracurricular activities, you have those achievements and you can talk about them. Most importantly, you can build up your soft skills. You can build your soft skills. Soft skills to termasuk lah communication skills, leadership skills, and so all these skills will eventually come into play when you're applying for a scholarship, and they're really important because the interviewers would want to see what the reason they want to invest in you. They want to invest thousands and hundreds and thousands of money in you. They want to see the reason. So you have to showcase your capabilities and also you have to showcase your skills. So I believe all these skills and capabilities you can only obtain through your extracurricular activities, because obviously your textbooks don't teach you how to communicate better. Your textbook don't teach you how to manage your time better. Your textbook don't teach you how to become a better leader. They can only provide you an idea. But in order to really manifest those skills, you have to do them physically. So extracurricular activities are really important if you are aiming for a scholarship. And my second advice is that don't stress yourself too much. Stressing yourself is good until a point where you start being insecure about yourself. Don't ever stress yourself too much to a point where you don't have the energy, you don't have the mood, you don't have the motivation to do anything else. Always know that, like, if you're aiming for a scholarship, it doesn't matter if you're aiming for a scholarship or not. SPM or examination, they are important. They are important, but they're just a small part of your life. At the end of the day, it's just a single piece of certificate. It won't determine your destiny. It only determines a certain part of your life. It doesn't determine what your life would be. So at the end of the day, if you don't get good results and if you're unsatisfied with your results, it's fine. Just cry and move on. That's all I can say. Just move on and work harder to achieve your dreams. And I can tell you a personal experience. There's my friend's friend. He got I think B, C, D, blah 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 in his SPM, and he is obviously sangat tak berpuas hati with his results. But guess what? When he just got his A-level results, and his A-level results are amazing, are absolutely outstanding, excellent results. And guess what? He applied for scholarships and he got like 3 or 4 scholarships from Saimdabi, from Kazana, from Petronas, to send him to study overseas. So you see that a major examination is important, but it's only part of your life. It's only a small part of your life. Just tell yourself it's okay and move on and work harder. Don't just move on and do nothing. It's useless also. So make sure you tell yourself it's okay, move on, and keep trying harder. That's the way to to cope with your life, I guess. Yeah. So those are some of my suggestions.
Okay. Kita nak macam dah sampai ke peringkat akhir dah. Okay, kesimpulan yang berdasarkan apa yang CHUA dah bincang tadi, semua perlukan plan, jadual, kita kena belajar tu kena faham konsep, lepas tu jangan study last minute, nanti kan dia beban kau tak apa semua, dan jangan compare diri dengan orang lain. Okay, Faiz, teruskan.
Okay, jadi rasanya setakat itu saja. Jadi ucapkan terima kasih banyak-banyak untuk saudara CHUA kita pada hari ini sebab dapat join kita cakap bagi tips, bagi ceritakan sikit macam mana kehidupan dia. Okay. And also terima kasih untuk viewers pada hari
Thank you
ini.
so much. Sorry for interrupting. Thank you so much for inviting. Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's such a pleasure. It's such an honor to talk to the juniors here because I feel like, especially because of COVID, we don't really have the chance to communicate with juniors. So if you have any question, feel free to like ask any of the seniors. We're very willing to help you, and just PM me, through Instagram, or like you don't have my phone number, so it's okay. Like if you have any question, just ask me through Instagram, or we're really willing to help. So all the best for our juniors. All the best.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you sekali
Thank
viewers.
you so much.
Thank you semua.
Siap.
The first flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.